I get this a lot too, because I have a missionary heart too. I want to go to different countries. We've talked about me going to Guatemala and helping out some orphanages there, and also, guys, I mean, we haven't really touched on your wife, starting this orphanage. Let's talk about that real quick. So, in America, we don't really have a lot of that. We have group homes or foster homes and things like that. But you go to these other countries, they have orphanages. What have you seen and felt with all of that, with these kids who I'm sure they all have these stories, right? And what have you seen just God doing inside of your orphanages that you guys are a part of?
Yeah, bro. I mean, it's like the difference between dark and light, man. You're going to get me emotional talking about this, bro. Cause when we start talking about kids, man, their stories are heartbreaking. I mean, just to give you a sampling of it, we don't need to dive deep into these, but like we've got a children's home up in the northeast part of India that every kid was saved out of a brothel, right? They were children of prostitutes in a brothel. They were being groomed to be put back into that industry and sold as sex slaves, basically. And our pastors came in and saved them out. So they're all kids like 10 and under, man, that grew up in a brothel. And they were kept while their mothers were selling their bodies. They were kept in closed off dark rooms, locked away. They couldn't even get out if they wanted to. Okay. They were thrown a few cookies every day for food. They were forced to huff gasoline to take hunger pains away so they would quit crying. Horrible, horrible situations. Mm. And our pastors went in the middle of the night to save these kids, right? And now to go up there and to see that, man, these are some of the most beautiful, amazing, loving kids you could ever imagine. And to know the darkness and basically the hell they came out of, right? It's, Jesus says that when he builds his kingdom, the gates of hell will not prevail. Okay. The gates of hell will not prevail. I've heard so many preachers, dude, say something like, that means Satan's not going to win. When he attacks us, he's not going to beat us. We'll be victorious. The gate of hell is not an offensive weapon. Gates are defensive weapons to keep things out, not to attack with. And so what Jesus was saying is that Christians would bust down the gates of hell and bring heaven into places that look like hell. And that's exactly what our leaders did up there. They busted down the gates of hell of a brothel and saved these kids out and brought them out of darkness into light is what happened. Wow. And so the gates of hell will not prevail, man. We had a boy, bro, here in our children's home, man, that's a woman was walking on a dirt road in a village and saw a plastic bag on the side of the road moving. And she opened it up and a baby was inside. Somebody had literally put their child after being born in a plastic bag and dumped it on the side of the road to be left to die. And by God's grace, this woman must have walked by just a few minutes after it had been dumped because the baby was still alive. She called our hospital. Our people rushed there, saved the baby's life. He grew up in our children's home and is one of the most incredible little guys you could ever meet, man. He's so loving and gracious. Has recently been adopted into a family and has his own family now, and just a beautiful situation. But dude, when you have story after story after story like that of kids just being in some of the most horrendous, horrible situations you could ever imagine and seeing their life radically transformed before your eyes, man, just to see their confidence, their loving nature, their playful, joyful, you know what I mean? Like these things that they may not have experienced some of those emotions in like the brothel situation or in some of these abusive homes that they were in or whatever. They didn't know what peace and safety felt like. They didn't know what joy and excitement felt like, every day of their lives. And then to bring them out of that and see them in that environment has been just amazing. And so my wife has created a really special culture in the children's home that is just so amazing. And the kids they just thrive, man. They really do incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing some of those stories, man. Some of those stories are heartbreaking to hear. Um, do you think that if people knew or saw that we would try to do more, I guess, especially in the Western culture, like, is it just because we don't know and we don't want to know?
So I'll let Prophet Josh come out for a second here, okay? Um, um, I think the problem, bro, is that we do know.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that we ignore it. It's not that we don't know. I think there's plenty of information in the world and plenty of talk and discussion, especially amongst Christian groups, that Christians and churches across the world know what's happening globally. They know about sex trafficking. They know about kids being abused. They know about people being lost and dying without Christ. They know the numbers. They know what's happening. But we just have such short attention spans that we move on to the next thing and our phone beeps and we've got the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And pretty soon it's out of sight, out of mind, man.
Mhm.
We have hundreds of people visiting our organization every year. And it's not that every single person who comes to visit and sees these stories go back and radically change the way they live. Some do. And I'm so grateful for those that do. But it's a small percentage of those who do. You know what I mean? Because everyone leaves, all of them leave with a deep desire to do something different, to change something, to try to help in the situations that they see or feel. But life gets so crazy, dude. And we have so many bells and whistles around us and flashing lights that we get so caught up in our own lives and our own in what's going on around us that we forget about the true needs across the world.
Mhm.
And so I don't think it's that we don't know. I think it's that we choose to turn a blind eye to it. I think it's that we choose to. It's easier, man, to focus on the things in front of us than the things 10,000 miles away.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally
Yeah.
agree. Well, again, thanks for sharing. If you guys are tuning in, make sure, reach out to Josh. We'll put his information too. And if you guys do want to get involved, really appreciate that or hear more. And I'm sure there's obviously countless stories with that. Josh, before we kind of wrap up the show, there's one last thing I really want to talk about. And I've been able to meet some missionaries more recently, and I don't know if God's been just bringing them into my life for a reason. They like listen to my real estate podcast and they call me up, and I guess it's like the only real estate podcast that actually talks about God, possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
um
That might be it.
yeah, yeah, but it's been I've also seen a movement with missionaries, and I don't know if you went to a missionary class or a school that that talked about, and you talked about this earlier, that talked about like, hey, here's how you be a missionary, you do this and here's the steps or whatever. But you're kind of taking a different route because you, number one, you're a creator, you're already an entrepreneur, whether you think that you built a big business or not. You're already a creator and an entrepreneur. You're creating churches and planting churches and you're growing something, right? I think about entrepreneurs doing that. But now the money has kind of came into play, and you've started a real estate business in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's called Ignite Investment Group. And you're kind of, this is something different that you've been doing, different than the last decade, right? So I'm assuming that you
Yeah.
raised support and got money and things like that. So talk to us about that, and what's been your experience with your desire to start a business and to make money
Yeah.
other than the support.
Yeah. So we've been on and still are, we've been on support for our family since I moved here. My wife and I have a couple amazing churches that pay our entire salary. So I have one church in America that pays my whole salary every year. And my wife has one church in America that pays her whole salary. And so we've not had to do the traditional go and raise money from 50 different churches to try to make sure we even have a salary. God's really blessed us with that. And so all the support raising we have to do is for the actual work, which has been unbelievable and incredible. Over the last couple of years, though, I've really started to feel this desire in my heart to become financially independent. So that way, even the money that these churches are sending for our salary can also go into the work, so that we can continue to push it to make a bigger impact in this part of the world, basically. And so I've looked at a lot of different things, man, over the last couple of years, what could be, what could possibly work, and how might we be able to replace our income with our organization. And so then that way, we could continue to put the money back into the work, and we don't have to be dependent upon, the nonprofit side of things for that. And all of our work here could be 100% voluntary, similar to the Apostle Paul, tent making idea. He kind of made his living with his own two hands. And so I've been really kind of challenged by that the last couple of years. And so I've tried a few different things that have fell flat on their face, dude, and none of them worked. And so we pick ourselves up and dust ourselves back off again and think through other opportunities. And so a few months ago is when we kind of launched out into the real estate side of things. One of our mutual friends, Chris Galanos, told me about real estate investment and what they're doing in Texas. And so I talked to my brother-in-law about it, and we decided to kind of launch out into real estate investment in order to try to do exactly what I was just talking about. How could we get to a point where, we may be able to be fully financially independent, so that way we could just focus 100% on the ministry without needing to take a salary from it, and we can put all the money back into the work. And plus, if we make above and beyond our salary needs, we can use that money too for the kingdom, which would be awesome. That if we keep, raising more money that way, right? And so it's been awesome, bro. I mean, this has been, out of the several things we've tried, this has been the one thing that's actually, sticking and working, and really, we've got off to a really hot start, man. It's been really good.
Thank you so much for checking out the Brett Snodgrass channel. If you like this video, please slam on that like button. And if you really like it, then subscribe to our channel here. And remember to leave us a comment below, and I'm going to try my hardest to reply to all the comments. Thank you guys so much. This is why I do what I do. Every single week, I come out with content that focuses on success, freedom, and living out your purpose. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.